ladies and gentlemen. Like we told y'all last week, my name is Ken Donnelly, along with Richard Buxman, who's sitting at the council table with me. We represent the state of Florida in this proceeding. First of all, let me thank you for your service. Our system of justice has relied on jurors for well over 3 centuries. Without people just like you throughout history, our judicial system would fail to function. Without jurors, we do not have a judicial system. Because of that, you are extremely important to the system, and we sincerely do appreciate your service. We will try to make this process as painless as possible, but I understand that there are sacrifices that you are making to be here. We are sympathetic to that, and we will make every possible effort not to waste your time. Now, having said that, let's turn to what this case is really about. Like Judge Munyon said, what I say in opening statement and what defense counsel says in opening statement is not evidence. This is what we expect the evidence will show you. With that, let me try to tell you the story about what this case is really about. In 2002, Theresa Ann Green lived in Orlando, Florida. She worked at Florida Hospital. Her address was apartment 11 at 3216 Cornell Avenue, which is within the city limits of Orlando. Across the hall from apartment 11 is apartment 12, and this is a second-story apartment. The stairwell leading up, apartment 11 on one side of the stairwell, landing apartment 12 on the other side of the stairwell landing. Joseph and Joyce Butler lived in apartment 12. Mr. Hunter, who was known to the residents of this apartment building as Mike, was renting a room from an individual who lived in apartment 9, which was downstairs from apartments 11 and 12. On the evening of May the 26th, 2002, there was a small party hosted by Joyce and Joseph Butler. And let me back up just a minute. You will hear from both Joseph and Joyce Butler. However, you will hear from Joyce Butler somewhat out of order. She came down sick over the weekend and will be testifying remotely, so she will be later in the day. Logically, she would testify right after or right before Joseph Butler, but we're having to make accommodations because she came down with COVID. So we're adjusting on the fly for that. Anyway, Theresa Ann Green was last seen alive about 2:30 in the morning, May the 26th. 2:30 in the morning is when Joyce Butler shut the party down because she had to go to work the next day. So Joseph Butler kicked everybody out. Theresa Ann Green was attending this party with a gentleman then known to everyone as Mike. Now we know that was Demorris Hunter. Everybody leaves the party. Everyone returns to their residences. Mr. Hunter and Ms. Green go to apartment 11. A few minutes later, a lady named Lida Green, I believe is her name, who is Ms. Butler's daughter, goes over to check on Theresa Green and knocks on the door of apartment 11. Mr. Hunter answers the door. Ms. Green inquires about Ms. Green's well-being. And he says, she was upset, but she's calm now. A few minutes later, she goes back, checks again, knocks on the door, there's no answer. Now, at 7 o'clock the next morning, Mr. Hunter knocks on Joseph and Joyce Butler's door and asks to speak to Then, Mr. Green, I'm sorry, Mr. Butler is asked by Demorris Hunter to follow Mr. Hunter, who was driving the car belonging to Theresa Ann Green. I said Lotta Green, I meant Lotta Moore, my apologies. Too many names, I get them all mixed up. Anyway, Mr. Hunter had never been seen to drive Ms. Green's car before, but he was driving it this Sunday morning. And he asks Mr. Butler to follow him in a van that Mr. Hunter was using at the time, an older, former work van, I believe the evidence will show. And Mr. Butler does this. They set out driving towards Sanford. Mr. Hunter parks the victim's vehicle. Mr. Butler waits in the van, moves over to the passenger seat eventually, and then I think he may have gone in the Walgreens perhaps to get an aspirin or an Alka-Seltzer or something, or maybe cigarettes, I'm not sure which it was. Realized he didn't have his money with him, so he came back, got the passenger seat, and waited till Mr. Hunter got back in the car, or in the van. Mr. Hunter says to Mr. Butler, "I did something really bad." Mr. Butler says, "Nope, I don't want to hear anything else. Let's just go back home." So they drive the van, Mr. Hunter driving, return back to Cordell Avenue. It's the last time Mr. Hunter's seen. Ms. Green, like I said, works at Florida Hospital. She did not report for work on the 26th or on the 27th. So then her son and relative call law enforcement. Law enforcement arrives. They go in or enter Ms. Green's apartment. They find a hole in the drywall that's roughly shoulder width. You'll see a photograph of it, I believe. They find a lady's purse on the bed. It's been dumped out, all the contents strewn all over the bed. And they find a broken lady's wristwatch in the bathroom that has blood on it. Law enforcement, like I said, is on the scene. They speak with the butlers. They learn about the trip to Sanford. They ask Sanford police to look for Ms. Green's vehicle. They find it in the Walgreens parking lot, just where Judge Butler said it to them. Sanford Fire is called to the scene as well to assist in gaining entry into the vehicle. And by this time, Orlando Police Department detectives and crime scene personnel are on scene, as well as Sanford Police and Sanford Fire. They ultimately succeed, fire ultimately succeeds in forcing entry into the vehicle. I believe they popped one of the little vent wings that you don't have anymore on cars that you had back then. Somehow you either broke it or popped it out, gained access to the car, found a body effects in the trunk, wrapped up in a sheet. That body turned out to be that of Theresa Ann Green. And while this is happening, the investigation is also ongoing at the apartment. You've got two things going on at the same time here. The van belonged to another individual, and like I said, it was being allowed, made available to Mr. Hunter for his use. The van is ultimately reported as stolen. The van is ultimately found burning on the side of the road in Houston, Texas. A warrant by this time had been issued for Mr. Hunter, who had been identified as Demorris Hunter, rather than the name that people knew him by as Mike. A warrant had been issued for his arrest. And Mr. Hunter was ultimately taken into custody in Houston, Texas. This is an overview of what we expect the evidence to show. I've not talked about every single witness. That's for a later time. This is an overview. You will hear from various technical witnesses. You will hear from the medical examiner who will describe Ms. Green's death by strangulation. You will hear from an arson investigator. You will hear from crime scene investigators. You'll hear from detectives. And you'll hear from civilian witnesses. At the conclusion of this evidence, the state will ask you to return the verdict finding Mr. Hunter guilty as charged